Okay, hi everyone. This is Sarang here. We're back with Humans Behind HR podcast. I know it took a little long for the fifth episode, and I've kept you waiting, but finally, I'm really glad that we're here. This is a podcast where we bring some amazing folks within the HR recruitment and talent community to talk about their journey, talk about what they are doing, and who are they as humans behind human resources. And I'm really glad this time to bring in Mukta Patil. Hello, Mukta.
Hi
How are you?
everyone. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Mukta is currently working in a sweet company for Cadbury and for obviously called Mondelez International. She is doing leading the employer branding there. And why I'm really was looking forward for this chat was we worked together in past in Capgemini. So I've obviously witnessed her journey and really keen to share her journey with all of you and yeah, so Mukta, why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of an introduction of who you are, what you do to our listeners?
Of course, yes. So, hi everyone, Mukta here. As Sarang said, I currently work as a global employer branding advisor for Mondelez International. For those who don't know Mondelez International, it is a company that is the owner of brands such as Cadbury, Oreos, Milka, Toblerone, etc., etc. So there are, I think, hundreds of brands that fall under Mondelez International. And this is exactly kind of the problem that I've joined to solve. Everyone knows the brands, no one knows the company behind it. And of course, when you're reaching out to recruit talent and you say that I'm calling from Mondelez International, it's like, who? What? It's like we're Cadbury and we're Oreo, then they get interested in it. So that's where kind of the whole function of Mondelez International Employer Branding kind of comes into play. So I get to work with a lot of business units across the globe, really understanding their employer branding needs, their strategies, what are their issues in their geographies, and of course the strategic business direction that business unit wants to take, and how employer branding can kind of enhance that in the form of talent attraction, so on and so forth. So a whole bunch of exciting stuff and projects that I get to work on here. And I've been in the employer branding function or as an employer branding professional for 6 years now. I cannot believe this. And of which I think 4 are with Capgemini. So I worked again with Capgemini and with Sarang as in the role of a global employer branding consultant. Again, very similar, working, with colleagues across the globe, really understanding their employer branding needs, creating these cool global campaigns, and a million other projects at the side. So it was, a really enriching journey so far. And of course, before that, I'm a recruiter at heart. I've done recruitment for around 2 or 3 years in both IT and in manufacturing. That's me.
That sounds like an amazing journey. And I guess very similar to a lot of people in employer branding, and at least mine, where everyone starts with either recruitment or HR and then move into employer branding, which is I guess
Yeah.
still a quite new for a lot of people as doing a entire career out of it. In some cases,
Hmm.
obviously, companies have a partial role, but there are amazing people like you who do this full time. So really great. So Mukta, we ask this question to everyone who come on to the show. So complete this sentence. I am a human behind HR who.
So I am a human behind HR who tells the real story behind every company and brand. So you should be listening to what we say, employer branding folks, before you change your jobs.
Great. So I think you spoke a little bit about their storytelling, and I think this is one of those areas within HR recruitment which is such key to any company right now. Today, there are obviously
Yeah.
everyone. is in the talent war situation, and everyone is saying that they are a great place to work. But how do we really differentiate and find those unique selling points which help the right candidates to
Mm.
join the right company? So, Mukta, while you were doing recruitment, what attracted you to employer branding, and why did you make that switch that time?
Yeah, so I think when I started with recruitment, I was still in a learning phase, right? I was fresh out of college
Yeah.
and I was still learning what like core recruitment was, the Boolean searches and connecting with candidates, offer dropouts, what do you do, hiring managers, that lovely, chaos of recruitment, learning all about that. But then once I kind of got hold of it, and when I started getting requisitions that were a little bit more complex, where I was kind of hiring
Mm.
for mid-senior level or sometimes even country leads or country heads in for some business units. So that's where I would get questions being asked by the candidates that, okay, the role is fine, benefits and compensation, everything is fine. What more can you tell me about my growth? What more can you tell me about learning opportunities? And you know those kind of questions really pushed me to think about, okay, you know what, it's not all about just the basic hygiene checks of any role, but it's kind of beyond that, where people really make their decisions based on most of the time. So that is where I felt that there really needs to be some kind of a um, communication from the company's point of view, at a high level, if it is, but about who we are as an employer. What are we beyond our products? What are we beyond our services, beyond all of these lovely roles and projects that we work on? So that's what really got me into employer branding, to be honest. And I'm talking like I invented employer branding, which I didn't, but it's kind of like what got me into being really passionate about this field.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think a lot of people who are listening would be recruiters, and some of them would want to move into
Yeah.
especially specific areas or SMEs into things like employer branding. So and again, there are millions of definitions around it, but I'm not looking at bookish definition, but in your own mind and based on the experience that you have got, what do you think really is employer branding?
Ooh, that's a tough one. What I think employer branding is, it's simply put, it is why, it's answering the question, why should I join your company? What's in it for
Mm,
me? What are you going to offer me? And this, I think, is a conversation, like I said before, it goes beyond benefits and the role and,
mm,
etc. It's about really talking about how is me being in this company, me being in this role, really going to enhance my life as well? I mean, I think post pandemic, everyone's got so reflective about their quality of life. Everyone's really, thinking hard about what's going to get me pleasure, what's going to get me the satisfaction of being in a particular role. How am I going to be able to balance my professional life and my personal life? And both need to thrive, and they cannot thrive independently. So I think employer branding, to me, is now kind of talking about all of these things and being real about it, being, very real
mm.
about it. If there are some things that are offered, they're offered. If they're not, it's not. I mean, no one company can be a good fit for each and every human on this world. So it's about telling that real story, and that's about what it is. But what I really love about this, employer branding in general, is that I love the way it ties in creativity and strategic business goals together. So, um, I mean, Sarang, you know that there are these business strategic goals that we always need to align with. But then also, when we are creating projects and campaigns and delivery them, there is this whole, level of creativity that's required. And I kind of love it has that balance.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's just what you said, right? I think that creativity, that ability to do something different I mean, for me, the role of employer
Yeah.
branding is never the same each day, each month, each quarter, or each year, right? I mean, every day we're trying to do something
Yes,
different. Some things work, something don't. But I think getting that
absolutely.
amalgamation of creativity, marketing, and the HR and recruitment side kind of together, I think that gets us going, right?
True.
Mukta, can you give us some examples of kind of projects or kind of uh, initiatives that you are really proud of, or something that you really loved, and maybe give some examples of what has really worked for you in employer branding?
What's really worked for me in employer branding, I think, if I have to give like kind of two examples of projects that I'm really proud of, like the first one would be one that I've currently worked with in this with Mondelez International in this organization is we so every business unit and every country had its own kind of brand when it came to early careers hiring. So hiring all of your interns and
Mm,
graduates and management trainees, etc. So every kind of team had its own brand, and they would have a different brand name, and then the key messages would be different, the offerings of course would be different, so on and so forth. So this may not seem as a challenge, but given Mondelez's kind of context, anyways, people don't know our brand, and then having all of these diversified approaches reaching out to the same cohort of audiences was getting even further more challenging and kind of confusing. So what we worked on is actually kind of creating a global brand for early careers. So each and every communication that will now go out, irrespective of your country, business unit, whether they're interns, whether they're management trainees, you're hiring whoever. So within early careers, they will fall under one brand. And I think the whole kind of process, like how do you start a brand? I mean, you don't just wake up in the morning and say like, I'm going to call it this. So that was a big learning for me, that going having those focus groups uh, with our own employees, then doing tons of research on what's out there, what are other companies doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them. Again, it's not just about my competitors doing this, so I must do that as well. So we wanted to be very different and unique and stand out from it. It's also then about collaborating with agencies to really get their inputs and coming up with first drafts, and then having voting around it and feedback around it, and then changing that, and also a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And now we have a global early careers brand that we've launched, last year. It's called Taste the Future, which I think really kind of fits well with early careers, and of course, what our company is about. It's about tasty food. So it's that is one project that I'm super proud of, and it's kind of like my baby. So that was something I really really loved working on. And then of course I think there are like tons of projects, I think, Sarang, we worked on. I don't think I can pinpoint on one, but I loved working on especially our diversity and inclusion projects that we had. There was a project, the 50 Women project, where we actually went and interviewed 50 women across the globe in Capgemini, gave them themes to talk about. And that was a fabulous campaign. Again, it had such amazing impact, social as well as internally. So those are two, I would say, big highlights of all the projects that I've delivered. Of course, there are much more, but if I had to pick two, these two would be the ones.
okay, okay, yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I think that list can go on, and I know we have done so many other things that you have had its very important impact on those.
Yeah, and I think the second point is about having deeper conversations with your hiring managers about what it's really like about working in their function, in their team, what are kind of the growth trajectories, learning opportunities available. And I feel that is all the content that you can also display on your personal LinkedIn accounts, or you can also have this through conversations. So employer branding can be done in multiple ways. It's not always about, creating a fancy creative asset or a video, or sharing it, or a campaign or something, but it's also about the phone conversations that recruiters have with their candidates, with potential candidates, and how are you positioning yourself. So those are kind of the few tricks or tips and tricks that I would share with recruiters who really kind of want to, explore the role of employer branding and really understand the why behind everything that you say and everything that you write. So, saying, calling a candidate and saying, we are a Fortune 500 or a Fortune 100 company. Okay, what's in it for me? What do I do about this information?
Yes, I can't agree more to that, Mukta, because I think over and above recruitment, it's also a little bit about communications, marketing, a bit of a content skills, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you might recollect for some of the campaigns that we did. You have done some amazing work on the content writing, getting people's testimonials, and we publishing them on social media and websites. So that also, as you rightly said, need a bit of a marketeer mindset over and about just recruitment. Great. So with that, Mukta, we come to our last and fun segment.
Ooh.
But before that, I have to tell everyone that it was Mukta who introduced me to this I mean, most hilarious series on internet, or that time it was on TV, called The Office.
Yeah.
And and I don't know, Mukta, if that was your inspiration behind getting into employer branding, because that's a culture that you
Oh my
definitely don't
God.
want to show in
For sure.
employer branding. But yeah, I mean, what did you, if I had to ask you, what is one thing that you really loved in that series, and why would you recommend and you know
Oh my
uh,
God.
convince people to see that, like you did with me? What would that be?
I think what really hooked me on that show is that there are these different characters, right? There's that in sales, and there's accounting, and these different characters, and they all together are a complete recipe for malfunction. But you know, individually, you can relate to them. It's like, oh
Hmm.
my God, I know someone in office who's exactly like this person. You could definitely, relate to that, and you could
Or yeah,
find,
he's a Michael Scott.
yeah, not even, yeah, that, and like also like who's that accountant? I think is funny, the person who always keeps telling
Yeah.
facts, like, oh, but it's actually this and it's actually that. Is like, oh God, we all know people like this in our workplace. I think that relatability really got to me, and then sometimes the satire behind it, like those unnecessary meetings, or the
Yeah.
or like just.
The meeting about diversity and
Oh
inclusion, if you remember.
yeah, oh my God, that was hilarious. So I mean, it was over the top, of course, for the show, but
Yes.
you can sometimes relate to that also. That sometimes some of these meetings and or like training sessions and all are just so ridiculous. It's like, oh my God, like that was so relatable. So that's what hooked me on really to this show.
Absolutely. So anyone who wants to learn about employer branding and not kind of a culture that you want to showcase, that's an
For
amazing
sure.
series. Okay, so great. So Mukta, let's move to our rapid fire. I'm no Karan Johari.
Oh
This is
my
not a
God,
Kejo show, but
I don't get a hamper.
still, I kind
Oh,
of get. Well, you are about to, and you know what?
yeah, actually.
But yeah, okay. So again, simple thing. I'll ask you the question. Don't think too
Sure.
much about, what comes to your mind. Just give it a go. Okay,
Yeah.
you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. What is your most favorite employer branding tool?
Paperfly. Do I need to explain what it is?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Um, what is the most important metric for you to measure
Ah,
in employer
for
branding?
employer branding, definitely conversions or lead generations.
Okay, okay. Work from home or work from office?
Hybrid.
Okay. Mumbai or Pune or in brackets Nashik.
Ah, of course, you know the answer to this, Sarang. It's always Mumbai, Meri Jaan. I mean, Mumbai Kar.
Okay, perfect. And yes, you won the hamper. It will be delivered you in few days.
Oh my God.
Okay, perfect. So, just last thing before we move, what will be your advice to the fellow HR community who's watching
Hmm.
this role, who want to delve into employer branding or want to get benefits of it in whatever shape and form of the role that they are doing now?
Yeah, I think general advice, for HR folks, be it employer branding or, whatever they do in their function, would be to really go behind some of the real stories and, put them across. And to be
Hmm.
unique, you have to be different. So don't be afraid of being different. If you come up with an idea or or some kind of project which your competitors have never done it, it's okay. Don't kind of be afraid to try that different and be different, because that's what's going to make you unique and really stand out. So that's one advice I would definitely give.
Awesome. So be different. So let's end on that note. Mukta, if if people wants to get in
Mhm.
touch with you, where they can find you, what are your digital
For
coordinates?
sure. You can absolutely reach me on my LinkedIn profile. It's super easy, linkedin.com/Mukta Patil. And if you want to, reach my company, and I anyways feel that Mondelez touches a million lives through their products. But for careers, you can definitely visit our website. We worked very hard on it.
Okay, perfect. Mukta, this has been a fascinating
Likewise.
conversation. Thank
Likewise.
you so much for being on the
Thank you
show.
for having me.
And I'm no problem. No, and we got to meet sometime
Yes.
for sure beyond
Yes,
the
yes,
virtual stuff.
for sure.
So yeah, okay. Again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much everyone who's listening on to the show. As I said, we'll continue to bring amazing HR professionals who do different things, who may not be in the limelight, but I think they deserve to tell their stories. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. And Mukta,
Thank
all the
you.
best, and see you
See you
soon,
soon. Thank
very
you,
soon.
everyone. Bye.
Okay, cheers. Bye bye.